Hyperempathy is often celebrated. You'll hear people praise it as the ultimate spiritual virtue, the ability to feel deeply, to tune into others, to hold space endlessly. But there's a hidden cost to this gift when it goes unchecked. Hyperempathy can become self-erasure. It can cut you off from your own knowing, leaving you vulnerable to subtle exploitation and chronic burnout. Today we're going to break this down, why hyperempathy develops, how it becomes dangerous, and what to do instead so your empathy strengthens you rather than dissolves you. If you want to protect this sensitivity in a practical way, comment "Give me the guide" below and I'll share my top 7 energetic boundaries every awakening empath needs. Hyperempathy rarely appears out of nowhere. Most of the time it is conditioned in childhood, a pattern built on survival. For many, hyperempathy was a way to stay safe. By attuning to every mood shift, to every sign of threat, no matter how tiny, every undercurrent in a room, you could reduce the chances of harm. You learned to feel what others needed before they even asked. That's adaptive. It helped you navigate unsafe or unpredictable environments. But what was once protection can become a prison when you carry it forward into adulthood, especially into spiritual communities or relationships that applaud total selflessness. In these spaces, hyperempathy is mistaken for enlightenment. But when empathy overrides your own boundaries, it stops being a gift. It becomes self-abandonment. There was a time I believed being endlessly empathetic was my purpose. I interpreted the overwhelm, the exhaustion, even the chronic confusion as a sign that I was doing the work. But the truth was, my empathy had been hijacked by old survival patterns. I had lost the ability to tell where my care for others ended and my care for myself began. Breaking that spell required a deeper honesty, that empathy without discernment is not love. It's a performance of safety. That's why in the sovereignty sequence, one of the first skills we practice is reclaiming body-based discernment, because empathy without a backbone is a recipe for manipulation, and no amount of good intentions will protect you if your own edges are blurred. So let's break down what self-erasure looks like in practice. You might notice that you apologize for having needs, stay silent when something feels off, sense other people's pain but never sense your own, feel guilty setting even a simple boundary, and identify maybe so deeply with another's struggle that you can no longer name your own. These aren't random traits, they are signals. When you feel responsible for others' peace at the expense of your own, you are in self-erasure. The hard truth is, no one benefits from you shrinking except those who expect you to remain easy to manage. Empathy is powerful, but it was never meant to erase you. If you recognize yourself in these patterns, it is possible to repattern them gently, steadily, and in ways that honor your sensitivity. First, give yourself permission to be incomplete. Empaths often rush to fix, heal, or hold space because discomfort feels intolerable. Let things stay unresolved. That builds resistance. Second, practice naming your truth, even if no one validates it. Empathy can keep you scanning others for reassurance, and turning inward for validation is a radical act of sovereignty. Third, anchor into the body. Feel your weight. Feel your breath. The body is the territory that self-erasure tries to escape. So coming back into it is coming back into selfhood. Fourth, use boundaries as experiments, not declarations. You do not have to get them perfect. Every imperfect attempt teaches you something about where your energy ends and another's begins. These small shifts will help you begin to reverse the trance of self-erasure. And they are exactly the skills we build step by step inside the sovereignty sequence, so your empathy becomes a sacred strength rather than an open wound. Let's put this in a larger context as well. Empathy is essential for human connection, but empathy without differentiation leads to fusion. And fusion, where you merge so fully with others that you disappear, is not spiritual unity. It is an abandonment of the self. Non-dual awakening does not ask you to lose your personhood. It asks you to see beyond it while respecting it. And boundaries are a part of that respect. They protect your ability to hold presence without being devoured. If you lose your sense of self, you cannot relate to others from authentic wholeness. You relate from a place of collapse. And that collapse feels holy in the moment, but it is unsustainable. Spiritual maturity includes the ability to stand in empathy while remaining rooted in truth. That is what makes relationships healthy, what makes service sustainable, and what makes awakening safe. If any of this resonates, please know that you do not have to choose between empathy and sovereignty. You can hold both. That is the heart of the sovereignty sequence. Reclaiming the space where your empathy and your clarity coexist without apology. If you'd like a place to start, comment below with "Give me the guide," and I'll send you my top 7 energetic boundaries for awakening empaths to help anchor your empathy in strength, not self-erasure. Your capacity to feel is not the problem. Losing yourself in the name of feeling is. Reclaim that power. And as always, may the shadow wane and the stardust remain.